Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Miriam and in 2021 I challenged myself to read 365 books. Well, there's only 1 month left in a year and a few days, and in today's videos I'll be sharing with you my December TBR, and I got the idea for this type of TBR in April or May, and I thought, well, it will take such a long time before it's there, and now next week December starts. I can hardly believe it. The year has flown by and I've read so many great books and I've learned so many great things from reading 365 books, even though I have not read 365 books yet, but you get the idea. I do not know exactly how many books I still need to read before the end of the year, because the day I'm filming this is 20th of November and you'll be seeing this on the 27th of November, so I don't know exactly how many books I will have read by then, but I think I need to read like 36 books in December in order to get to my goal. But like I said, I got the idea for this TBR in April or May. I thought of doing a themed TBR and I chose Comfort and Joy because December it's almost Christmas and Christmas is comfort and joy, and what fits with comfort and joy? Books that bring me comfort or joy. So books I really enjoyed reading a while ago. It's not that I'm not going to read any new book, but if I'm going to read a new book, it is going to be a book of which I know that fits with the Christmas spirit, or because I've read other books by the same author that I enjoyed. So are you ready for my Comfort and Joy TBR? So the first book I'm not going to read this in December. I hope to finish this in December. I've read quite a big part of this book already. It's a year with C.S. Lewis, so every day you read a tiny piece of one of his books, and this counts towards my reading goal. This book, it has been on my Goodreads shelf for the entire year. I can't wait to finish it actually. I've learned a great deal of things from it and it actually made me want to read the other books by C.S. Lewis again as well. It's time to finish it now. The next book is also in a non-fiction department. It's Finding God's Life for My Will by Mike Donaghy. I read this book in December 2020. I learned so much from it that I want to read it again. Actually, the first time I read this book, I borrowed a copy of my friend and she highlighted some things in the book, and that's what I thought I want to do this time when I'm reading it. So it will be easier to get to the parts that I really like, that speak to me, and I can't wait to dive into this book again. And now we get to the first series I'm going to reread, the Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. It's just a year and a half ago, I think, since I last read them, but these books are amazing, they speak to me, and this year has been an entire C.S. Lewis type of year for me. I did a C.S. Lewis writing and reading day, and I've learned a great deal from C.S. Lewis this year, so I thought it would be great to finish the year with reading Narnia. And the books are not very big, and there are 7 of them, and I already know them, and they bring me comfort and joy, so that is amazing towards my goal. Well, this book is not a book that I'm particularly looking forward to read, but I borrowed it from the library and I need to read it before the end of the year, so that is why it's on my December TBR. It's Postscript by Cecilia Ahern. I don't know how to say her name, but I read the other book, P.S. I Love You. This is a sequel, I believe, to P.S. I Love You. I really love the movie P.S. I Love You, and I was a bit disappointed when I read the book. But I heard that the sequel, Postscript, is actually better, so hopefully this will be a great read after all. Next on my TBR is actually another series that I have not yet read before, so I don't know for sure this will bring me comfort and joy, but I've read other books by Bridget Kammerer and they are very easy to read, so I hope this will be the case for the, I believe it's the Cursebreaker trilogy. And this is the first book. I'm not showing all the books if I read a series, only the first book. So yeah, this is actually not the first book. This is, I don't know. This is the second book in the series. But you get the idea. The Cursebreaker trilogy is also on my December TBR. The next book is actually not a book that brought a lot of comfort and joy It actually made me cry a lot when I read it the first time, but it was such a good book that I want to read it again. Comfort and joy, it's not all about that you feel comforted or that you feel very joyful, but that reading books that did something to you the first time you read them. So to get that spark again, I think. And the next book is actually a book you already saw in the previous week's video, and I already told you it was probably going to be on my December TBR, the Go and See Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. That's also not a very big book, which is great for my challenge because I need to read quite a lot of books. I actually did not count the books that are on my December TBR because, well, there are series and parts of series on my TBR, and I did not count all the books, so it might be possible that I won't be able to read all the books, but I hope I will be able to. You've also seen this book in last week's video, Dear Mrs. Bird. I have not read this before, I have no idea what it's about, but I heard that it's a great book and it's a wintry book, so I'll be reading this one as well. Next on the list is another trilogy, the Caravel trilogy by Stephanie Garber. I read these books also like a year and a half ago, and I really enjoyed them and want to have that same feeling again. And the next book is also a book that is not particularly joyful or a very happy book, but a book that had a huge impact on me and that I really enjoyed, and I shed tears over it, and that's not a bad thing. And I really want to read this book again and rediscover why I enjoyed it so much. All the previous books I showed you were actually English books, and now we get to the Dutch books that are originally English, so they are translation. Ranger's Apprentice is part of my December TBR. I'm not going to read all the books in the Ranger's Apprentice series because there are like 16 or 17, and that's too much. Now actually there are 15 books in the Ranger's Apprentice series, and there are like the early years, so that's another 2 books. And I believe that book 16 is coming out in December, so I might add that one to my TBR as well. But I really enjoyed the first 4 books of the Ranger's Apprentice series, so I still have to see what I'm going to do, but at least I'm going to read the first book. The first book is a book you can read independently. You don't have to read all the other books in order to like the second, third and fourth book have an overarching storyline, and they do connect to the first book, so that's why if I'm going to read the second book I will also read the third and fourth book, but I will have to see whether there's time to read all these books. But this book should definitely go on my Comfort and Joy TBR. Another book is Bride of Angels by Tessa Afshar. I own all the books by Tessa Afshar, only Land of Silence is missing from my collection. I only have that one in a magazine format, but I want to have the hard copy of the book. But I think of all the books that I own by Tessa Afshar, Bride of Angels is my favorite. And I'm really looking forward to it because I remember that I first read this book when I was in quite a difficult time of my life when I read that, and that book brought me so much. And it's not that I'm at the moment in a very difficult time in my life, but well, we all are a bit, I think we are all a bit sick and tired of the coronavirus situations and whatever it is doing to you, so I think it will be great to read this book again and learn from it. Well, this book actually has joy in the title, but that's the Dutch edition. This is the Dutch edition of Becoming Mrs. Lewis, so about Joy Davidman, C.S. Lewis's wife. And again, this is not a book that is a very happy book, but I have happy memories from reading this. It was the first book in a long time that made me cry, and maybe you're like, but that's not a good thing. But if a book speaks to me, if a book can make me cry because of the beautiful writing style and the beautiful things that happen, or sometimes sad things that happen, and make me realize how amazing my life is, then it's absolutely okay to cry over a book. And well, I hope I won't cry again over this book because I remember the reason why I cried, and that's, yeah. That's a very long story for one video. So, but still, I hope this book will be as beautiful as I remember it. And now for the last part of the video, I'm going to show you some Dutch originals that I will reread in December. They are all books to reread and no new books. First is Koning van Katoren, which can be translated as King of Katoren. I've told you before about this book. It's one of my favorite books, and I can't wait to read it again. And it's also not a very big book, so that's really helpful as well. Next is actually a trilogy, but I'm only showing you the first book, Kinderen van Moeder Aarde, Children of Mother Earth. This is this kind of dystopian trilogy about, well, it starts out with the Third World War and that the Earth is destroyed, and then people survive and things happen. When I was like, I think I was like 14, I saw the movie The Day After Tomorrow, and these books remind me of that, but they are very positive books in the end. And last but definitely not least, my favorite book of all time, The Letter for the King by Tonke Dracht. I think I was 10 when I read this book for the first time, and it came out in English in I believe it was 2015, 2016, so the world can enjoy this book only for like 5 years, but I've enjoyed this book almost my entire life. I have not seen a Netflix adaptation, but I've seen the trailer and read some stories about it, and it's completely different from the book. If you want me to watch the Netflix adaptation and do a video on why I think it's great or not great, then let me know in a comment. I might do that in the future. Anyways, I'm going to read The Letter for the King and the sequel, Secrets of the Wild Woods, in Dutch, because that's the original language of the book. I have no idea how many books there are in total on my December TBR, because of all the series and trilogies and stuff that I'm going to read. But I believe these books will keep me company during those dark, cold, wintry nights. And hopefully they will help me to get to my goal of reading 365 books in 2021. Let me know in a comment which book is on your TBR, or is there a book that I showed you that you want to read as well? Let me know in a comment. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to follow me on my journey, because I will keep on making videos, I won't do a reading challenge like this in 2022, but I will keep on making videos and show you more bookish content. So if you don't want to miss that, then please subscribe to my channel, and as always, happy reading.